friends. Well, happy summer. I know that's a funny thing to say when the world's kind of on fire right now, but I this month have put together some things for you that are important to me, and important to me because I want to give them to you. Important to me because I feel like we need some we need love, we need unification, we need some tools to get through this time. So I've spent the last few days, kind of really thinking about and putting together, curating the things that I want to give you this month. And they're all rooted in a word that I think is overused to the point where it's kind of lost its meaning. In fact, I've spent the last couple of days just really exploring just what the word love means, what love one another means, what love actually means. And it's just been so watered down, It doesn't mean, the stuff from Valentine's Day. It's an act, it's a verb. It's probably the most difficult verb that we're ever going to try to master is to love each other and love ourselves, because it requires so much discipline and self-control and a constant presence of mind where we're not allowing the chemicals of our body to react in ways that make us behave differently than we actually are. And so I wrote a message on Facebook last week, and I sent it out in my newsletter, and then I made a follow-up video for it about something that happened when I was in first grade and why I approach things the way I approach them. And so I'm going to put that video here so that you have some context for what I'm gonna say next and what I'm gonna give you this month. So here we go. Okay. I told some of you guys that I would tell you about this story when I was in first grade, and I've been thinking about it so much, and how I can even begin to portray it. But I just feel like we're in a time when we've got to start sharing stuff that's meaningful, that brings us together, that might help us understand like who we are and what we're supposed to do with this crazy human experience that we're all sharing. And so I've told people this story from time to time, not very many details of it. I knew when it happened that it was extraordinary, but over time, over the years, it's become even more important to me, and kind of revealed things that that I needed to know later. I was probably 5 or 6 years old, so this was over 40 years ago that this happened. Let's say that. So the town that I grew up in, there were 4 elementary schools in the town, and they were all east, west, north, south elementary of the town. That's what they're called. I was at East Elementary. And at our particular elementary school, the children with developmental disabilities all got sent there. And so there were a lot of kids that were severely disabled that were in our school, and they would just put them out at recess with all the kids. And it seems like there were at least 3 or 4 kids that had cerebral palsy. Back then they called it mental retardation, some of these things. And they would put them out at recess with all the rest of the kids. So that would be like, I think maybe 1st through 4th grade, kindergarten through 4th grade, or maybe 3rd grade, were all in the same recess. And then the other side of the school was the older kids. But what I remember is that these kids would just get bullied. They would get made fun of. They would just get, it was super troubling to me as a little girl, because I had been bullied, lots of times in my own home I was bullied. And when I was in first grade, and so I've always been very sensitive to that, to any kind of meanness, anything I can perceive as meanness, especially gaining up. I'm so sensitive and have so many triggers to, to someone being ganged up on. And so there was a girl who probably was about my age. She was nonverbal, and the kids, and kids just do things. I mean, they, especially first through third grade or fourth grade, they just do things that I'm sure that they don't feel great about later on in life. And so I'm not putting any blame there, but there was a girl who was nonverbal, and her body was contorted and twisted up, and she would get bullied a lot, and she would just go stand at the side of, kind of leaning on the side of the building of the school, and it was red brick. And there, it seems like what I can remember was concrete, and I can still hear the 4 square balls, balls bouncing and things like that. But what I remember one day is there were some kids, just kind of being mean to her, and then she was just standing over there, probably just waiting it out, waiting for this to be over, waiting for recess to be over. And I walked over to her, and I wish I would have had more courage to speak up and stop things, from happening, when I was little. But I always tried to go and be with the people, the kids after they were bullied, and just to know they had somebody. And I walked over to this girl, and I still remember this so vividly. She, like I said, she was leaned up against the wall, like this. And so I stood right in front of her, and I leaned up against the wall like this. And then I just looked her right in the eyes. And I had the most intense spiritual experience in that moment. I don't even know how long the moment was, but I saw she was talking to me through her eyes, and her eyes started to kind of sparkle. And in fact, I have had another, experience with the same sort of prisms, with things that reflect light, dreams and things that I have this this orb, this sort of big round prism. And I've told some of you guys what it means. A dream I had about, what a soul is. And I was thinking about it yesterday when I was going to make this video for you guys, about, I wonder if the bottom of that, if I turned it, if it would look like what I saw when I looked in her eyes. And so I did it, and so I'm going to edit this video and I'm going to put that in there. But this is what I saw when I looked at I did it. I turned it and I put it in the light, and all I remember was it was a lot of little triangles and just little slivers of light and slivers of just deep depths. And when I'm 5 or 6 years old, and I'm looking in her eyes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there is a soul in there. That's, I don't know that I knew the word for that, but there is something in her that's trapped inside of her body. Something that, something so deep and so beautiful and so mature. As a 50-year-old woman now, I can describe it, that I really think she was like an angel that's on this earth. And she may be like, I don't know how it works, but maybe she volunteered to be in that body and to have that experience. I don't know how that worked, but she spoke to me through her eyes, and she said, you need to never ever forget that everybody is like this. Everybody is a soul inside of a body, and the way that everybody looks is not what they are, and everybody's doing their best and trying to figure things out. And it was like I said, it felt timeless. It felt like I was with her for a day, and it felt like a couple of seconds, because it was just one of those experiences where all this, you know a bunch of stuff that you didn't know before it happened. Like a floppy disk got put in you, and all of a sudden you had like a computer program inside of you that you knew something deeply that you didn't know before. I stood there for a really long time, probably till the bell rang, and our eyes were just locked, and her eyes were doing this sparkly thing. It was like the color of, I can't even describe it, like kind of like tropical water, but a little bit more icy blue, just so much light, and it was sparkling the way, almost like turning, the way that when I took that, that crystal orb and did that this morning in my window. What this did to me as a small child, was it changed me, and there were things that I was different after that. Like I couldn't unknow that. I couldn't unsee that. I couldn't unexperience that. And I think all the time about like, who was that? And I hope someday that I can know, that I can meet her. I have lots of experiences, especially the last 5 years with angels. In fact, I'm just looking at this painting right now that's in my bathroom. I feel and I sense these angels, and I try to paint them. And when I wrote about, where I stand when we're divided, it's because when I had that experience as a 5 or 6 year old, all I knew was that we are all family, and we are here having this freaking weird experience. We know each other's souls. We love each other. We love each other so much, you guys. Like, we love each other, and this is this experience is freaking brutal. And so I hope I can, that I've adequately expressed what that meant. It's interesting because it's been 24 hours or whatever since I posted that post, and some of you asked to know the story. So many times this happens to me. I don't know what angels or whoever, what our creator, whoever is, sometimes can send us messages through technology, but I ended up on this weird page where all these, the first picture that showed up is this one right here with the eyes being compared to nebulas, and then eyes being compared to planets. And I really, I'm not a big woo-woo person. I'm open to everything. I've learned that above anything else is just to be open, to be open and just listen. Especially when people are very devoted to something, they believe in something, and they're putting their whole heart into it. And I feel like it's my, for me, and I'm saying this is for me, I'm not asking anybody else to do this, but I feel like what I have a great desire to do is to just listen, just listen to what's important to them, because it's important to them for a reason. And I have never felt like that steered me wrong, because I spend a lot of time figuring out what's important to me. And so often, I listen to things people are saying, and it's very different than what my experience is, and it's very different than what even I believe or what my values are. But and I think often we don't want to listen, or we don't want to sit with somebody that's different from us, because it's almost like people behave like it's contagious or something. And I'll never understand that. I'll never understand why we can't just sit together and tell each other like what our experience has been. Like, all of us have been on these really hard, brutal journeys, and it's really lonely when you can't come back and tell people what it's been like, and what you've been through, without being lectured or having somebody tell you like, oh, because this happened, now this is going to happen, or even having people define it. I think each of us is responsible for our own experience and for the way we show up in the world. And we don't need to spend so much time trying to define that for other people. That's what I think. I think our job is to witness each other with compassion and love and try to understand as well as we can, and to do the best we can as people. That's our big job, is just to do the best we can each individually. And that is different for all of us. But I want you to know, whoever's watching this, that I know who you are. I have seen it and I have witnessed it over and over again. That wasn't the first time that happened. That wasn't the last time that happened. That was the first time it happened when I was 5 or 6. But it's happened to me thousands of times since then. With just about everybody that I take the time to look in your eyes. And I've seen it over and over again. Like, you are my family. I am your family. And we love each other. And whatever is happening in this world just keeps making us forget that. That doesn't mean we have to live together and we have to work together and we have to, but at least we can want the best for each other. At least we can forgive each other. At least we can move forward and do our best to make sure that everybody has what they need. We don't even have to agree with each other, but there will never be anything that will ever make me believe that when we're healthy and whole, when we're healed, when we are really in our deepest truth, that we love each other. We love each other. Like I said, that doesn't mean we have to even see each other. It doesn't mean we have to talk to each other. It doesn't mean we have to, do anything except want the best for each other. And I know, from sitting with literally thousands of people, I have retreats that last a week. I hear a lot of stories. I'm one of those people that for some reason people tell me their life story within a few minutes of meeting them. So I've heard thousands and thousands of stories. And so I know I think there's a lot of wounding and there's a lot of things that can happen to people that make people choose. Some people, I think it's a very small percentage of people that are dangerous, that just mean ill and mean, their goal is to dominate over others and take from others. I don't know, maybe it's bigger than I think, but I think most people are doing the best they can. And most people really are rooted in love when they feel safe, So I think a big thing for us to do is make sure everybody, make sure we feel safe, first of all, grow up and do what it takes to feel safe in your own body and in your own life. That's what I've been trying really hard to do, not expecting somebody to come save me all the time. Knowing that I'm capable of protecting myself emotionally and protecting myself, as well as I can, and not expecting anybody else to do that for me. But then there's times when, we need to do that for each other too. So anyway, that's the story. It's kind of long, how I told it, but that was it. And over and over again, it happens. And that's why I do what I do. That's why I believe the way that I believe. That's why what's important to me is so important to me. And that's why when I say I love you, I mean I love you. I do, because I know who you are. I know who you are. I know who I am. So that's it. Thanks for listening, and I love you so much. All right. So with that in mind, with that message in mind, I'm going to give you some things relating to love, to loving each other, to loving yourself. With that sort of definition, that last message and that experience that I went through in mind, not the love and light, which I think love and light really is what's going to save us. But when we say that in such a way that that's not as potent as it's meant to be, I think it loses its meaning, and it infuriates people sometimes, or it just makes them it makes them not take it seriously. And so love is a verb, and so we have to do things. We don't just have to do things, but we have to refuse to do other things. And that's different for all of us. So I'm not going to preach to you what that is, but I'm looking at the most amazing views out my window right now, and that's what I keep looking at. So I might just turn the camera around here in a minute, so you can look at it while we're talking. But I want you to get quiet in nature or wherever you can, and really ask your heart, what it needs to be able to feel what I was talking about in that video about yourself and about other people. There's so much going on in the world right now that's so distracting. In fact, I think distraction is our number one enemy right now. It's the biggest weapon that's being used, to distract us from who we really are, and inflame us and get us all so amped up that we forget who we actually are and how we actually feel. We get so flooded with cortisol and adrenaline and all the chemicals that that we get flooded with when we see scary things and we hear scary things and we hear unfair and unjust and confusing things. I just think sometimes we got to walk away from all of that for a while and remember who we actually are. Remember how we actually feel right here, especially about each other. But first it has to start with how we feel about ourselves. Because I know if you follow me, then you're probably a really loving person because that's just what I know from all these years I've been doing this. The people that stick around with me are just super loving, empathic people. And so if you have found yourself not being who you are, and you might not even realize it. So I'm gonna also put a link to a video in here that I found today that I remembered. I was working through all this stuff that I'm creating for you guys, and something came to my memory. And that's how it works sometimes. I have helpers somewhere, whether it's my higher self or my ancestors, angels, whatever. I got a little tap on my shoulder that's like, you have a video that you forgot about from 11 years ago. And one of the things that's been really hard for me is my work got deleted. And so I used to have literally thousands of videos on YouTube. I had a YouTube channel with thousands of videos on it that documented a lot of these things that a lot of us here in this community used to go and do together. Beautiful acts of kindness and love and community and unity. And, I suddenly remembered that when I used to be in the corporate world and have a big company called Chatterbox, I used to go to trade shows all over the world, and I loved putting together these group projects. And so we were in Chicago, a bunch of us, at a trade show. I think it was ACCI or CHA. They changed their names all the time. HIA. I don't know if you guys were in the art and the art and crafts manufacturing world. You know the ones I'm talking about. But I think it was probably CHA or ACCI in Chicago, and we decided to go do this random words of kindness activity together. So we got together and we passed around words of kindness at the trade show and also just on the streets of Chicago. And I cannot tell you what watching that video did for me. First of all, it was a lot of different emotions. There was a lot of grief that I was like, oh my gosh, I used to have so many videos like this where a lot of us, even in this community here on Patreon, together were doing projects like this, or we were just gathering, doing good and beautiful things, and then just putting the ideas out. But this one was the first time I had ever videoed it. I decided to start a YouTube channel before I started my big YouTube channel. I think there's 2 videos on it. I don't even know what the password is. I can't even download it and it's my video. I can go watch it on YouTube and I can put it here. But I remembered that before everything got so stressful and before everything got so scary, and before all of us, including me, got so scared that we were going to say the wrong thing and get in trouble, or we were going to do the wrong thing and get in trouble, before the world got like that, we were doing things that were so beautiful and pure, and I was doing things, my soul was saying, Melody, you've always been who you are. You've always been exactly who you are. You've always done what you've done. And then you lost yourself for a while. And there have been periods where I've lost myself for a while, for different reasons. Like even when I was I started my first company when I was 25, and I made a ton of money right off the bat. I was a millionaire before I was 30. And so I kind of got swept away in that whole lifestyle. And then I came back. And then I got swept away by stress, just lost myself for a while, just trying to keep up with, payroll and doing all those things and just all, deadlines and, all the things that were just, some things started as really beautiful, and then just you get swept away in it. And that's why now I'm just growing really slowly, and I'm staying just me in my own company, my husband and I, and not growing it to the point where it's not a big enough tree that it can stand on its own yet before I, bring other people in. But I tell you this because I know this is true about you too. I know there are so many of us that right now that are on just this razor's edge of just everything's so stressful that I either I'm gonna hide out until it's over, or I'm gonna, some of us just, don't even want to keep going on. And what I want you to do from this packet of things is to just get quiet first and think about yourself for a little bit. Do the things, because I'm giving you a bunch of things that you could go out and, love and care for other people and create unity and love and everything. But what I want you to do is first, separate you out of it. And that's what I've been doing the last, year or so, is just taking myself and looking at myself in the mirror and saying, you are important too. You're a soul too. You matter too. And doing all the things that I used to do for other people and turning it on myself. And it's been life-changing. And I'm so much healthier and stronger and more at peace. And remembering, it's like this big layer of mud was all over me, and then it dried, and I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't see, and I couldn't remember, and this brutal period of all of that breaking off of me, but then if you saw, I made this post on Facebook about this dream I've been having about just everything falling off until I'm just bones, and then the bones burn too, and then I'm just light, like I'm just light. And then all of a sudden, my truth teller tells me this is who you actually are. Now you're free. I think there's a lot of that going on in the world right now. And, that's something you have to decide for yourself. That's one of the things that I feel really strongly about for all of us is stop going to a middleman. Like I'm going to take my glasses off and I'm going to say this to you. You can go straight to the source. You don't have to wait around for somebody to tell you, that you matter, that your life's important. If you can just get quiet and decide that you're not going to let whatever's going on in the world dictate how you feel at this moment, even if there's things that you strongly believe in, step away for a little bit and remember who you are and how you want to show up in the world and what you came here to do, what your soul's vocation is, what your soul's occupation is. And make sure that that's happening in your life every day, no matter what's going on around you. Because I was just thinking about, it's been two years now where there's always something swirling around us, it feels like to me like it's trying to divide us. And then it's like we're waiting for the next thing. We're always waiting for the shoe to drop. What's going to be the next thing? What's going to be the next thing? What's going to be the next thing? And that fills your body with so many chemicals that are not healthy, that we have to step away every once in a while, every day. I think. I start every morning, and I probably have a 2 to 3 hour routine that I do where I just get myself centered. And I'll share that with you guys sometime. Like what I do every morning it has to do with nature, with singing, with writing. I really Bluetooth into my truth, to my truth teller, what I'm thinking about, gratitude, intention for the day. water, making sure everything I put in my mouth, in my ears, in my heart, in my mind is what I want to carry through the day. And that we're in a time now where we have to be warriors in such a way that we have to get up and take responsibility for how this goes. It didn't used to be like this. It was like, if you wanted to be happy and healthy, then that's what you would do, but you were okay if you didn't. And I feel like we're not going to be okay if we don't do this every day. And the other thing is just not turning on each other. I I feel very strongly that I'm going to have to start sharing. Not that I'm going to have to. I feel very strongly that if I love humanity and all of you like I do, that it's my duty to share a lot of the dreams that I've been having over the last year, because they've been coming true and what I've been seeing. And so I'm going to start speaking more boldly about that. It's not scary, actually. It's rooted in love. I think our biggest problem right now is that we're believing things to the point that we're so scared. And I'm not talking about like conspiracy theory stuff. I'm talking about the opposite of what we need to be doing, which is what we're doing is we're forgetting who we are. We're forgetting who each other are. That's the thing that I'm focusing on. I don't care about what's going on the outside. I'm talking about what's happening inside of each of us. I'm not somebody that's ever going to talk about all the crazy stuff that's going on the outside, because that distracts us once again from this. The things that I have dreams about and that I feel compelled to talk about and teach about, that have been taught to me from my truth teller and other places, has to do with each of us individually. And so I'm not going to talk about what I think is going on the outside ever. I'm going to talk about what I believe is going on the inside and what's going on between us. And so that's where things are headed. I'm writing a lot of new curriculum right now. I love my old curriculum. I'm giving you guys another course from 10 years ago or so called Love Even More. That's really good and really important. But I'm giving you guys all this to add on to what's coming next. And I used to think it was really selfish to think about yourself. But these days, it's probably the most unselfish thing we can do, honestly, is to look in and see what's going on inside of us so that we can show up as a peaceful person inside of the chaos. We can show up as a confident person inside of the chaos. We can show up as a loving person inside of the chaos. That's what power is. That's what power is being able to be calm and trusting of yourself and your own power, to be able to be and the power of our Creator and the power of our truth teller and the power of love. And all of this is going to sound so mamby-pamby, unicorns and rainbows, but there's science that backs this up. And I know this from the bottom of and the top and the sides and every little inch of my being. I know that this is true from both living it and from the experiences that I've had, like the one that I told you about in that other video. So how long is this? I know none of us have a tremendous attention span these days. So all right, so I'm giving you some tools, some words to cut out and do things with, the little truth rocks. That's so you can go so collect little rocks and glue words to them, or whatever you want to do with those things. But just a lot of words to cut out and put together and make messages, first for yourself and then for everybody else. So watch, I put the curriculum packet in here for Love Even More, some random words of kindness that you can cut out and give to others, but first give them to yourself. And then some words to make truth rocks, or anything else, any other little things that you want to make and give away. But first make them for yourself. They're so tiny so that you can put them in tiny little places like your drawer, and they don't take up a lot of space, and so that you'll find them exactly when you need them. Okay. So, I wish I could go on and on, but I'm just gonna end it here, because like I said, we have limited attention spans, and I'll paste that that post that I made, if you didn't get my newsletter and you didn't see it on Facebook, about where I stand with all of this division. And I want you to know that this isn't about bypassing it. It's not about, I got a few hate mails about, not taking a stand is letting bad things win. And I have a very different approach to that. And like I told you, that this is my mission. I think all of us, if we were in an actual war, there would be some of us in the hospital, there'd be some of us out on the battlefield, there'd be some of us in the cafeteria, there'd be some of us we would be all over the place. And I am very, very clear about what I'm supposed to do in the world, and I won't ever stop doing it, because I know very strongly what I'm supposed to do, and I know who you are, and I know who I am, and I know what you're capable of, and I'm asking you to wake up and be who you are, because I need you, we need each other, and who you are is you're important, obviously you're just as valuable and important as everybody else, but you are powerful, and I'm gonna be talking a lot about that. So enjoy the stuff, and just know that I'm working on the big online course that a lot of you guys already bought. It's coming along beautifully. We had a few beta tests with it at my last training, and it's amazing, and it's just for this time, and I'm here for all of this. I'm not going away. I'm downloading tools that are made for this time, and I feel honored to be able to do that. So just please don't go back to sleep, okay? Please don't forget who you are. Please don't believe the feeling of powerlessness that you might feel. Please don't go out of the circle. There's always a place for you in this circle. You can make your own circle, but we need each other. So either create a circle. There's always going to be a place for you in my circle. Our circle, it's not even my circle. This circle of love, the more circles, the better. So I love you, and I hope you enjoy all this stuff. And I'll see you soon. Mwah.